Blood Moon Milk, the astrology show that comes out every new and full moon to help guide you on your mindfulness, meditation, and manifestation purposes. I'm Aurora, and I'm going to look at the astrology surrounding the new moon today. I'm going to do things a little differently, trying to find a way to record these on video and talk about the astrology as I go. Let's get started. I've been real busy lately, just trying to get caught up with all the things I need to do before I go out of town, because I'm headed to Europe for a few weeks. And I've got this new media partnership with Gnostic TV where I'm doing daily astrology videos. So I've been having to film all of those before I leave, and see clients and get ready for the holidays. And I had my birthday and a birthday party and Thanksgiving. And so if this new moon video is coming out a little late, forgive me. It's not because I'm not interested or not trying, but because I'm actually very interested and very busy with all the things that are going on. And so, without any further ado, let's look at this new moon. And forgive me if things are a little different and you don't like it. Think of them as growing pains, because I want to be able to share my astrology screen with you all, so you can see what I'm talking about if you're watching the video, so you're not just clueless as to what I mean. I just hope that it will help you learn a little bit more about astrology, bit by bit, if you can see what I'm actually talking about in terms of astrological charts. And so here we have the new moon in Sagittarius that occurs on December 1st, which is a Sunday, and it occurs at 1:21 a.m. Eastern Time. This chart is set up for Atlanta, Georgia. So East Coast. If you are on the East Coast, then this would more or less be accurate to your location. But if you're somewhere else in the world, kind of ignore the clock face a little bit and take in the general transits of the new moon as they come up, because I think that's going to be more helpful to you. So I'm sharing my screen, my astrology window now, and so we can see here where my mouse is hovering, we've got the moon and the sun are conjunct at 9 degrees of Sagittarius, and so this is what a new moon is. Every new moon is basically a conjunction between the sun and the moon, and it's a natural reset period. And in the sign of Sagittarius, that's the natural mutable fire sign, ruled by the planet Jupiter. And so we look at the condition of Jupiter to kind of get a better understanding of the vibe of Sagittarius energy during Sagittarius season. And Jupiter's in the opposite sign from Sagittarius. It's at 17 degrees Gemini, right across the way from this new moon, almost exactly opposite, not quite, but between the moon and the sun and Mercury in opposition. Mercury's retrograde now at 20 degrees of Sagittarius, and this Jupiter's is also retrograde at 17 degrees Gemini. So we've got planets in mutual reciprocation here. We've got Mercury in Sagittarius, the natural sign that rules Gemini, where Jupiter is. So that's giving us a bit of an extraordinary amount of busyness now, I think, and especially with regards to travel and philosophy and our extended friend groups. Gemini is a very social sign, so maybe you have a sense of friends from the past maybe coming out of the woodwork, or friends you might not have heard from for a while coming back around, maybe to just catch up. Maybe it's because of the holidays, or maybe you haven't seen them for a while for other reasons, like maybe there was a falling out, maybe there was a fight, but people popping back up to kind of maybe work things out or reconcile. That could all be happening now. Um, New moons are a whole new beginning. And so this Mercury Jupiter opposition that is very closely aligned with this new moon suggests that there's a fresh start, a new opportunity to work things out with old friends, if that's something you've been struggling with, or also an opportunity for higher learning as well, because both Jupiter and Mercury are both interested in expansion of the mind, and these planets are nearly opposite right now. They're not quite exactly opposite, but close enough to be considered in opposition during this full moon. They're within 3 degrees of perfection, which is pretty close. And Jupiter is big, so its energy is really expansive. And so that, Mercury Jupiter opposition in mutually receptive signs is interesting. It doesn't happen very often. We probably won't see this kind of energy happening again for another 12-ish years or so. So it's going to be an unusually busy time for many of us, especially if you have personal planets in either Gemini or Sagittarius. You'll be extra busy. But everybody has, Sagittarius and Gemini in their planets and their charts somewhere. So there's going to be some aspect of your life that's going to be really, really, really ramping up now, to teach you some new lessons. So check your natal chart, see where not only where 9 degrees of Sagittarius is, but also where 20 degrees of Sag and 17 degrees of Gemini are, because these things will be talking to each other throughout your chart, for all of us. And Sagittarius also has to do with truth and higher ideals, and seeking truth and reaching our goals. So if we have felt like we've accomplished a lot of things over the past year, maybe you felt a winding down recently and you're recalibrating your goals right now, and you're on the verge of setting some new ones. This is also perfectly natural and normal under this energy as well. But let's see what else we have going on in the chart. We have we have a stellium in Sagittarius. Mercury is retrograde. Let's look at Venus. Venus is at 23 degrees, sign of Capricorn. She is in a very happy, tight trine with Uranus and Taurus, and the part of fortune at 22 degrees 52 minutes of Virgo. So that's a grand trine in earth signs for some spontaneous new perhaps streams of revenue. Venus does have to do with money and long-term goals, especially in the sign of Capricorn, but also relationships. And so Uranus likes to shake things up in regards to values and our value system, and it's retrograde here, so maybe these are values that we have held and have long held, and are beginning to redefine for ourselves, as well as the part of fortune and Virgo. That's a very particular energy. Virgo really wants things to be perfect all the time. Perfection is kind of a myth. It's not actually ever going to happen. But here, this grand trine in earth signs can suggest that there is a certain amount of perfection happening between spontaneous Uranus and Taurus and Venus in Capricorn, where she feels valued and cherished, as well as in her right element to accomplish something meaningful. And the part of fortune, which smiles upon all of us at 22 degrees of Virgo there. Almost 23 degrees, just a few minutes away from being at 23 degrees. So a grand trine in earth signs can be hugely beneficial, especially if you have earth sign planets in your chart that are around 24, 23, 22 degrees. You could be feeling the benefit of this spontaneous new beginning that will be coming your way at this new moon. So we love new beginnings. We love fresh starts in astrology because, nobody's perfect. And sometimes it's nice to get a second chance or a fresh start at life in general. So this suggests that anything that you undertake now, a new beginning during this new moon, can be quite fortuitous and fortunate, but also be lucrative. So if you are trying to plant those seeds of financial gain or value, this is a good sign that these energies are working harmoniously and on your side. So keep going, keep working on them. And that practicality can really pay off in conjunction with this practicality of the earth signs in conjunction with the Sagittarius's desire for big goals and big aims. This energy blends together nicely now to make something that can be lasting, because earth signs like to build things that are going to last the long haul. They really are more about they're more marathon runners than sprinters. But here, these new endeavors can last for the long haul. Let's see what else is going on. So we have Mars next up. Mars is in Leo at 5 degrees 57 minutes. And so this new moon is on December 1st. Mars will be going retrograde at 6 degrees of Leo in just a few days, just about a week after this new moon occurs. So we can find ourselves starting to slow down. Maybe this is the winding down of the holiday season and, having that out of office email on the ready so that you can really focus on some reflection and some quality time with your family. Mars and Leo really likes to play and be playful, but also to be recognized for its creative contributions. And it's harmonizing. It's in a loose trine with this new moon, but it is harmonizing with that Sagittarian new moon. But it's also in a pretty good trine to the North Node in Aries. And I love the North Node. Whenever we get some North Node action happening during a new moon, it gives me the sense that we have a new opportunity to recalibrate whatever it is our soul's purpose is looking to achieve in this lifetime. We're being supported to more directly engage with that mission. So that is lovely, lovely energy, supporting us to take the initiative to be bold and to follow our hearts and soul's desire, because Mars and Leo is all about heart energy. North Node is soul's destiny, and the sun and the moon, that's our masculine and feminine both coming together for a period of rest in order to renew themselves energetically shortly thereafter. What else do we have going on? So that's Mars. We talked about Jupiter. Jupiter's in Gemini at 17 degrees. That's also loosely harmonizing with its sextile to Chiron at 19 degrees. So that's healing. Big healing potentially if we are able to get some of this rest in during this new moon and leading up to it. Being able to listen to other people on their healing journeys and be empathetic and supportive. Jupiter in Gemini is all about listening to other people and taking into account those perspectives, where Chiron in Aries is trying to heal collectively the I amness wound of all of us, where we are struggling to identify how we assert ourselves, or how we feel seen in the world. So, this is, it speaks to inclusivity. It speaks to being able to talk and articulate where we might have felt vulnerable or misunderstood at some point in the past, where we are going to be able to grow from that unfortunate set of circumstances into a more empathetic, caring, nurturing, understanding uh, member of society in the future. So that's wonderfully, wonderfully healing, energetic energy. Um, so that is really, really lovely. We get to work with that energy now. Um, And so what else do we have? We've got Saturn. Saturn is direct in Pisces. Now, Saturn was retrograde for a long time, and it's now direct. So he's almost halfway through the sign of Pisces. So if you have your personal planets at 12 degrees or 13 degrees of Pisces, um, I certainly do have my Jupiter is at 13 degrees of Pisces. And so Saturn being on my Jupiter really makes me currently, this is how it shows up for me. It might be different for you, but if it's your sun, it will feel different. If your sun's at 12, 13 degrees of Pisces, it will feel very differently. But for me, it's all about showing up for my responsibilities and my ambitions and my joys and my artistic, creative endeavors, and putting a structure to them that is sustainable and also honors the creative process, so that it's something that can be built upon in the future, and it gives it a sort of scaffolding to work with versus what it has been in the past has been a little bit more diffuse and a little bit more nebulous and dreamy, where, kind of whatever feels good is what goes and flows, where Saturn is moving through that Piscean energy. It's asking us to give those creative inspirations or souls, divine inspiration from the universe, those sorts of things, a bit more care and structure so that they can be sustainable, but also grow up. It's time to get realistic about things. Does this work? Does that work? If not, get rid of it, start over again. And, continue growing from what you've learned, because it's not really a failure if you've learned from the situation. 1 second, I have to plug my computer in. Um, all right, we're back in action. Okay, so that Saturn is in a loose square with the sun in Sagittarius. We're not exactly square, but it's close enough to where there's some friction, but it's not so exact that we are dead in the water. When the sun and Saturn are square each other during a new moon, that suggests like a real immense effort to get going. But this is not quite. It's 2 degrees away from being exact, which is intense, but it's not exact. So, this Saturn coming in to remind us to be responsible about the actions we're going to undertake with this new energy we're getting to explore during this Sagittarius new moon and this reset that we get collectively. And so it puts a little bit of a damper on the energy, but um it's not to be cruel. It's to get us to become more responsible for our creations, responsible for our ideals, and responsible for our philosophies and the projects with which we choose to spend our time and energy on. Because Sagittarius tends to bite off more than it can chew, and spreads itself a little thin. So I kind of get the sense that Saturn in Pisces is like, hey, be realistic about what it is you hope to achieve now, because you can only do so much. And Sagittarius is the most advanced fire sign, and it wants to do everything, and it will try to if left unchecked. But Saturn and Pisces kind of reminds us that we absolutely need to make time and space for rest as well. Um, Divine rest, how can you possibly hope to dream if you never sleep? And so that's kind of the sense that I'm getting from this loose square. It's not really loose. It's not really tidy. There's this square, this average square, to Saturn and this Sun and Moon in Sagittarius during this new moon. And then what else do we have going on? We have Neptune. We have Neptune at 27 degrees Pisces. And it's not really, well, it's making an out of sign. It's talking to Pluto down here. And it's making let's see. It's trine Uranus. But it's out of I mean it's too far away from being exact for me to say it's trine Uranus anymore. Pluto is a very specific energy, and because it moves so slowly, I like to see an orb of 2 degrees or less in that aspect. But so Pluto is at 0 degrees 13 minutes, the sign of Aquarius. We've only had Pluto in Aquarius for a little less than 2 weeks when this new moon happens. So we're still fresh in that exuberant Pluto and Aquarius energy. But it's close enough to be talking to Neptune here at 27 degrees. I would say this is an out of sign sextile almost to Neptune, because Neptune is getting ready to cross over from that once it goes direct. It's retrograde now, but once it goes direct into Aries, it will be, so Neptune will be in Aries, Pluto will be in Aquarius, and that fire energy mixing with that air energy will be hugely, hugely beneficial. But for now, they're just a little too far apart to really, really be talking to each other, for me, for my liking. But that's okay. So we still have some planets in retrograde, so it can feel, this new moon can be really reflective and feeling it. And often this time of year, at least in the northern hemisphere, it's winter, almost the winter solstice, and we're generally starting to slow down, beginning to celebrate the holidays. So it feels sort of natural for a new moon to be more internalized and more reflective than normal. But nonetheless, that internal work that we do can be really powerful when we have a chance to do the healing work and really sit with ourselves and understand what it is that we are growing into. And so when it shows up in our external world, it can be unrecognizable to people who know us and love us and are most familiar with us. So don't be surprised if the work that you set out to do during this new moon, by checking into your natal chart, which house this new moon falls in for you, if you find yourself saying, well, yes, this may be, in this case, okay, this is in the 3rd house of this chart collectively for Atlanta, which is all about communication and travel and short trips, and your friends and extended family. But with Mercury retrograde and with Jupiter retrograde and Uranus retrograde and Chiron retrograde and the North Node retrograde, it can all feel a little internalized. And Mars is getting ready to go retrograde too, like adding to the retrograde party. It gives me the sense that we are going to be working on ourselves, our mindsets, and it could be a very private sense of a renewal. And that's okay. 6 months from now, though, when we have our Sagittarius full moon, in the spring, it's going to be much more apparent what we are celebrating and what's coming to fruition. It could have time to show up and be very public at that point in time. So I know this is a short and sweet episode of the show. Please forgive me for not having more for you today, but I hope it's helpful. I do have some holiday offers on, and boy, my filming is my backdrop looks extra awful, but it's what I have time to do for you. I am taking appointment bookings for 2025 currently to see me to help you with your astrological journey for next year. I've got a whole range of things on offer. I've got everything from a year of astrology with me, which is I've got it bundled now. I think it's $777 for 4 quarterly sessions, as well as the subscription to the Daily Dose. So that's a lot of astrological support for the whole year. You'd get emails from me every day, as well as quarterly meetings with me. And I can help you use the planetary cycles for your easiest, smoothest transition through what I really do think is going to be one of the most challenging years and one of the most volatile energy shifts that we have lived through since 2020. I really do think that 2025 is going to be perhaps the most dramatic year that we've lived through collectively since 2020. And you all know what happened back then, that I was talking about it before it happened. And so if you would like that support, that bundle is a discount of about 25% or so from what it would be otherwise if you were to book sessions with me just one-off for quarterly sessions. So if you are interested in that and can afford that, then get to me now, because who knows what the future holds for you. And if you're not really clear on what the future holds for you astrologically speaking, it's a great way to find out. But if that's a bit of a far-fetched or far reach, I am doing 2025 mini sessions, which is a small one-off 30-minute reading for only $80, which is pretty affordable. And I will be able to at least run through some of the biggest shifts in energy quickly for you in a one-off meeting in January. And then I also have the Daily Dose, my daily email newsletter subscription. It's on sale for Black Friday right now at a reduced rate. I also have the ability to offer a gift of subscriptions to the Daily Dose. If you miss a Black Friday deal, you can gift somebody an astrology session or the Daily Dose. Head over to bloodmoonmilk.com to get in touch to book with me. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. I'll be back soon, and we'll have more detailed deep dives into the world of astrology as the stars unfold. And I wish you all the best the stars have to offer from now until next time. And thank you for spending some time with me. Don't forget to share the show with your friends and leave us a review or share us in social media. All that stuff is really, really important to help us grow and to just encourage me to keep going, because sometimes it really does feel like I'm doing this for my own benefit and no one else's. And so I love to hear from people out there who are getting something out of it, especially as the holidays grow near, you know, it's nice to feel like your work you're doing is being appreciated. I wish you all the best the stars have to offer, and a happy, harmonious new moon in Sagittarius.